Welcome back to the Vertu YouTube channel. We have something a little bit different for you today. Do not adjust your phones or laptops. And do not think you're seeing double. There are two cars here. We have got a VW Tiguan versus a VW Tiguan. But one's hybrid and one is petrol. And I'm going to talk you through the differences in these two and convince you to either go for this one or this one, depending on your needs. That's the intention anyway. Let's give it a go. Let's talk about price, because there is a little bit of a difference there, first of all. Now, the hybrid could be yours starting from £42,875. Now, that's today, the day of filming, from a Vertu dealership. Whereas this petrol, beautiful R-Line petrol that we've got today, starting from £34,395. Again, today, day of filming, from a Vertu car dealership. And that is quite a substantial difference. Now, the idea is that the petrol that we should feel comfortable with by now is aimed to sort of save you money off the lot, buying it from the dealership there and then. But obviously the hybrid and using it for those short journeys, as I'll discuss in terms of efficiency, should save you some money in the long run. Let's briefly talk about the design of the Tiguan. It is a stunning car. This is the third generation Tiguan. Let's look at the older one, the really old one back in the sort of 2000s, and then we had a revamp, and now in 2024 we got another revamp. You're going to see these on today's road. They're so popular. This is an elegance, that's why it looks a little bit different to the R-Line. This is petrol, this is hybrid. Both of them very stunning. Depending on the trim, you get a lovely sort of daytime running bar across the front, and you also get across the back as well. Looks very nice indeed. And even on the elegance, it's a slightly lesser trim than the R-Line, but it comes crammed full of stuff. You get 19 inches alloys in terms of this one. You get 20s over on the R-Line. I'll come on to that in terms of ride comfort, but 17 inches all the way to 20s through all the trims of the Tiguan. You're going to have a very stunning, lovely looking SUV. VW do not make bad looking cars. Let's talk about differences, and there's no bigger difference than the boot space. This is the petrol version, the R-Line, the absolute stunner that we've got here. This boot is right up there for any SUV out there. 652 litres of boot space, and it is a proper flat load space with a load of space underneath that floor. Adjustable floor. We've got a 40-20-40 split, and I think we've got the best mechanism for letting down the seats. These levers here are so handy. I get it, you do have to go around the side to still make sure they're proper flat, but I love that, and you can tell I get excited about boots. On to the hybrid. Now, it still looks like a very big boot. We've still got 40-20-40 split, and we've got a nice flat load space, but we do lose a lot of space. 652 litres on the petrol, 490 on the hybrid, and that's because of that. Big battery and all the tech is there. I've got my wire in there as well. Let's talk about some things you get as standard in a Tiguan, because it is such a capable, lovely SUV. Straight away, we're greeted with the big screen. And when I say big screen, this is 12.9 inches worth of screen here. But if you go Infotainment Plus, you can get a 15-inch screen. It's fully customizable. We've got a shortcut bar at the top that you can customize and make your own sort of shortcuts. We have got the climate control and everything like that. We've got these sliders across the bottom for my volume. I've also controlled the climate control there. I do not have any physical buttons for the climate control. You know I do not like that. I do like buttons, but if we're going to have it on the screen, we do need it nice and accessible, and it is all there for me. Right, a really cool feature that they've got here. I'm going to turn the engine on, and I've got this little rotary controller here. It controls the volume. You think that's not too cool, but if you press it, I can then flick between my sport mode, comfort mode, individual, eco. That's really quite cool. I guarantee every passenger that gets in here is going to see you play around with that and go, oh, that's cool. and it is. Other cool things that come as standard when you go maybe elegance or R-line above. We're in R-line here, the elegance is over there, the hybrid. You get really good seats. And you think like, that's a really generic comment there. But well, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail because they've got these sort of electric lumbar sort of adjustment, but then you get massage seats as standard in the elegance and the R-line, which I thought was a really nice touch. And here in the R-line, they're making it a little bit more sporty with the half leather and a little bit of blue trim. And they've got R sort of in there. Very sporty seats indeed, and everything that I've got on here, I've got this sort of little storage sort of bit for your phone, but then underneath you've got the wireless charging with USB-C as well. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I've got heated seats as well, and in terms of storage I am fully loaded. And something I really like, it's such a little thing, but I do these car reviews quite a bit, and you'll see I always go on about the door bins being plastic and your keys rattling around or whatever is in there. This has a little bit of lining, a little bit of carpet lining. He's impressed. Now, as well as the screen here, I'm going to put the engine on again. I've got this infotainment system, well, the driver display in front of me. Digital driver display, very, very good indeed. I also have the option, if I wanted, to go for heads-up display as well. Everything I need on there. It is a little bit on the basic side, but I'm not complaining too much because I have seen smaller displays in very similar size cars. But then they've got this sort of, on this R-line model that we've got here, is sort of little bit of finery, I guess. It's a screen, and it can change the ambient lighting to go with it, and I think it's just a really nice touch. The only thing, when I did get in, I thought it was one of those big screens like Mercedes, and I was going to have some sort of stuff going on over here, but I haven't. It's just decorative, but it does look nice, and I can change it by the ambient lighting on here. Right, in the back seats, it is a good news story in the Tiguan. That's my driving position. Oh, I've got so much room. We've got a pan roof here, and nothing interrupts my headroom either. I've got loads of that. We've got some vents here. We've got 2 USB-C charging points, so I'm not going to be fighting over the charger. Some SUVs still only have 1. So we're lucky to get 2. That's really good. Isofix points are nicely accessible there, and interesting enough, they've got Isofix points in the front as well, so you can have your child up front with you. But where they're really showing off, as well as still having the sort of sporty look here in the R-line, the Elegance also gets these seats that are fully adjustable. So I can sort of have a more upright position there if I pull this little tag, and I can recline all the way back. And I can also use the bar here to move these all the way forward, create more space in the boot if you need it, or just play around with how close you are to the driver's seat or the passenger seat. I really like it. I really like the fact that we're now getting in SUVs adjustable back seats as well as front seats. Now, as I mentioned, when you go elegance or above, you pretty much get the same trim. We've got R-line over there. We've got everything here in the Elegance. You've still got that sort of half Alcantara, half leather seats. It's not as sporty, the seats, but that's what the R-line's for. We've also still got this screen that I can change my ambient lighting. It looks really cool. It doesn't say R, it just says Tiguan. I've got heated seats. I've got all the compartments that I need, can have that I've got in the R-line. I've also got this cool rotary controller. I've got everything I could need. I've also got the pan roof as well. Everything that you've got in the R-line, you've got in the Elegance. So I would say go Elegance or above, because you're really going to want all the mod cons. Let's talk about this hybrid in particular. 2 hybrid options with the Tiguan. One of them 204 brake horsepower, one of them 272 brake horsepower. Now, the impressive part is that with the plug-in hybrid, you will get a 20 kilowatt hour battery, and it will get you 75 miles of range, and that is really impressive in a very crowded plug-in hybrid SUV market. Whereas the petrol options are both 1.5 litre petrol engines, one getting you 130 brake horsepower, one getting you 150 brake horsepower. Not a massive difference, not exactly express quick. If you're wanting speed, you need to go full electric, which will get you to 60 miles per hour in 5.9 seconds with the most powered option. Now that's sports SUV quick. Now you're probably wondering about the cost of actually installing a on-the-wall charger in your house. Well, they can vary from around about £800, £1,000, around that mark. You're probably wondering, well, what if I live in a flat, or if I live here, I live there? There are plenty of options for you. Do not worry, click on the link in the description and then run through those options, because the plug-in hybrids and electric cars are taking over and you need to see what your options are. Right, let's talk about what it's like to drive the Tiguan. First of all, this is the petrol R-Line. It's a 150 brake horsepower version. There is one that is 130 brake horsepower, but first of all, it's very, very easy finding a driving position in here. There's lots of play with the steering wheel position. Obviously the seats are fantastic, very sporty, hug you, and visibility is brilliant. I've got this pan roof, I've got a very sort of small sort of pillar here, so the screen and out the back, it's fantastic. Next port of call would be the actual drive comfort. Now, I did mention 20-inch alloys. Now, I would say that does affect the comfort a little bit. I'm feeling the lumps and bumps in the road. However, this car comes with adapted suspension. You can adjust everything on here before your drive, and you can make it as soft or as firm as you like. And I do recommend you doing that, especially if you've got the 20-inch alloys, because you will notice it a little bit more. But the good news story with this petrol Tiguan is that at high speeds on the motorway, you're going to be very, very happy. It's not express quick. It goes to 60 miles per hour in around about sort of 9.5 seconds. So nothing to really write home about there. It boasts an efficiency, or miles per gallon, of around about 47. But again, that's on par with a lot of petrol SUVs that are out there. But the one thing I would say is that this is going to be smooth for racking up those motorway miles or dual carriageway miles. It is absolutely ideal for that, because once it gets up to an appropriate speed, it's actually really, really nice. In terms of handling, it's really light, very, very easy. We're driving around on country roads today. It sticks to the road as you would expect as a four-wheel drive SUV, and I've got no problems at all with it on a UK country road. It handles absolutely beautifully, and in and around town, I don't feel I'm driving a monster SUV. And this is what I mean, we want our cars to be all-rounders. We want the height, we want to have a bit of road presence, but you also want it to handle like a Super Mini. And there isn't too much of a problem when it comes to the Tiguan in that department. Right, the turn of the plug-in hybrid. Now, we've talked about the Tiguans. Yes, they're all very, very nice cars. Let's just talk about the main differences. So, for a start, at low speed, I have a silent, peaceful car. Yes, I do. Sorry, I just put my massage seats on there. That felt really nice. I've got a silent, peaceful vehicle, which means the hybrid has kicked in, and it means I am saving. Look, we said at the start, the price of the petrol is going to be more attractive when you're at the dealership. However, if you are someone like me who does a lot of town driving, a lot of small commutes to work, a lot of drop-offs for your children's clubs and school runs and all that sort of stuff, then you are absolutely going to prefer the hybrid. And there's a few reasons why. Okay, main reason is efficiency. So this hybrid, this plug-in hybrid Tiguan is not only a lovely looking thing, it's got some efficiency numbers that cannot be argued with. If you're charging this, if you're looking to charge this sort of overnight or at home, it's going to be 3 hours for a full charge, which is really, really quite good. Also, the fact that you've got 75 miles of range with a charge on this is excellent as well. Almost sort of industry leading with that as well. We also have the added element of it supports a 50 kilowatt charge, i.e. rapid charging, and 10 to 80% worth of charge can be achieved in around about 26 minutes. So you plan your journey out, you've got even more hybrid power to use. Now, there are lots of concerns when plug-in hybrids came out of that transition from petrol power to hybrid power. Is it smooth? Or shall I say, transition from hybrid power to petrol power as you climb through the speeds. Is it smooth? Does it affect the braking? Well, you'll be pleased to know that on this Tiguan, absolutely it is smooth. It is buttery smooth. It is really, really good. You barely notice the difference, and it goes into it absolutely perfectly. So buttery smooth on the transition from hybrid to petrol power. Also worth knowing that it does not affect the braking at all. It is very, very smooth. That transition is ideal, and I always worry about that because I have driven some of them around town and it is a little bit clunky. You feel like you're kangarooing down the road a little bit, and you're really not in this, which is excellent. Also, we can't ignore the fact that the petrol option that I drove does have a little bit of lag at low speeds when you're trying to get off the line or a roundabout, whereas the hybrid electric power kicking in at low speeds, you have instant torque, you have instant power down to the road, wheels are gone, you're off, and that cannot be substituted. That is what I've noticed most about driving fully electric vehicles and some really capable plug-in hybrids. They are off the line quicker than anything, and it just gives you that reassurance when you're at a busy junction. The positives of the petrol car, it is slightly lighter, the steering. It is a little bit lighter, but I'll be honest, I'm not noticing it. I'm not feeling like I'm lugging around the ferry. It is light enough in terms of the steering and the handling. It's a heavier car, and the latest generation Tiguan is actually slightly bigger than the outgoing models, but you really don't feel that you're driving a boat. The one thing I will say though is that the Tiguan does not disappoint in regards to anything. On the inside, it is stunning. The trim levels, you get a lot as standard. The visibility is fantastic, and I still think we are in one of the nicest designed cars out there. VW, just like I said before, do not make ugly cars, and I think the VW Tiguan is no exception. Does a very, very good job. So there we have it. That is the Tiguans compared, the hybrid with the petrol. But which side do I fall on? Well, I'm a 40-year-old man who's very used to petrol cars. I don't have to plug anything in. I've got a massive boot space, and it's really good on motorways, etc. However, I do like to save my pennies, and I do a lot of school runs, a lot of school clubs and footballs and netballs, and I also like to nip to the shops. So in and around town, are we saving money in the hybrid? Well, luckily for me, I don't have to decide. That's over to you. So get yourself down to a Vertu dealership and try one of these. You will not regret it, because the Tiguan is right up there when it comes to family SUVs. We will see you very soon for the next car.